season. Try to get him signed in. Dale, nice to meet you, Ashland. But yeah. Permission is quite a bit.
You really?
It started, no, it started.
Oh, it did.
Quite a few.
Hi, Ranger.
Hi, nice to see you.
You just come to observe?
Out.
If we're ready, everyone, I'd like to call order of the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board, Wednesday, December 18th at 6 o'clock. Would Vanessa please call the roll?
Jamie Anderson,
I'm sorry, here.
Dale Blenton,
Present.
Rodolfo Barrientos,
Yeah.
Judy Hammerberg, Michael Anat,
Here.
Ashlyn Brene Green, village staff Doreen C. Grant, Luciano Nibbs, Rafael Gutierrez, and Vanessa Cherry, me present.
We do need to vote on Judy's absence. If I could make a motion to approve Judy's absence as an excused absence.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Michael, did you second? Okay, thank you.
Once again, good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board. The board is authorized pursuant to Chapter 14 of the Village's Land Development Code to ensure compliance with the Village's Code of Ordinances. The members of the board are citizens and residents of the Village of Biscayne Park. We volunteer our time, and we are not paid for our services. The purpose of each hearing is to give any alleged violators the opportunity to contest the decision of the code compliance officer, which resulted in the issuance of a notice of violation, and to determine whether a violation of the village's code has occurred or is occurring. We are not authorized to dismiss violations based on hardships, ignorance, or the fact that others may be guilty of the same violation. These hearings are conducted on a quasi-judicial manner. Our responsibility is to act much like a judge in a court, and that is to hear cases presented by the village's code compliance officers and to hear contradictory arguments presented by the alleged violators. We are not authorized to change the code. The Village Commission is solely authorized to enact or revise codes. Conversely, neither the commission nor the village manager have the authority to overrule the findings of the board. Pursuant to Chapter 162 of the Florida statutes, orders of the board can only be appealed to the Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County. We have the authority to assess and order the payment of civil penalties, to issue orders having the force of law, to command whatever steps are necessary to bring a violation into compliance, and to assess administrative costs. In order to make a finding upholding the code compliance officer's decision, we must find that there is substantial, competent evidence that the named violator was responsible for a violation of the relevant section of the code as charged. All documentary evidence presented by the parties must be submitted for placement in the hearing file. No documentary evidence will be considered unless the alleged violator or code compliance officer submits a copy for the hearing file. Each party shall have the right to call and examine witnesses, to introduce exhibits, to cross-examine opposing witnesses on any matter relevant to the issues, even though that matter was not covered in the direct examination, to impeach any witnesses regardless of which party first called them to testify, and rebut the evidence against them. If you intend to address our board tonight and have not signed in, please do so. Anyone wishing to address the board, please stand, raise your right hand so that you may be sworn in. You are reminded that this board is a quasi-judicial board and giving false testimony can be penalized.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Before we go any further, Commissioner Amsler is joining us tonight, as well as Village Manager Al Childress. Commissioner Amsler has asked for a few moments to speak to the audience and to us.
Hello there. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to have a few minutes to introduce myself to those that I haven't had the opportunity to meet. My name is Veronica Amsler, and I'm one of the 5 commissioners in the city and the village. At any time, if there is any question regarding our codes, if there is any opportunity for us to engage about anything, ideas that you might have, things that have been going on, I just wanted to have this opportunity to introduce myself and let you know my number is public. You can go on the website, look for the commissioners, and you'll see we all have cell phones. So please do reach out for anything whatsoever. And I just wanted to say thank you again for all that you do. That's it.
Thank
That's it
you,
for me.
Commissioner. Do we have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
Changes. First, good evening. My name is Doreen Grant, Code Compliance Department. Changes, we have a correction to make on 8.4. The case number should read CEC 24-0064 instead of 60.
Anything else?
On additions, we have an update on 826 Northeast 121st Street. Case number EEN 22-383 for Jan Roots and wife Denise in care of counsel. Counsel is present. We have 2 attorneys present tonight, one representing the property owner and another counsel representing the mortgage company. We're here asking for an intent to lien on invoice number 0002100-05 dated 3/5/2024 in the amount of $10,000. This invoice was for services, professional services provided by a contractor in preparation of the case for Miami to be heard before the Miami-Dade County Unsafe Structure Board. We're asking the board to issue an order to lien the property for $10,000.
Members of the board, do we have any questions at this point?
At this point, I don't have any questions.
Staff? Any questions, comments? Sir, if you would please introduce yourself and your relationship to the property.
Sure. My name is Matthew Kramer. I'm an attorney for the property owner at 826 Northeast 121st Street. Brief background, there was an unsafe structures hearing on December 11th. And the Unsafe Structure Board ruled that the property owner has 8 months to submit permits, an additional 9 months to complete construction. The invoice, or what we saw the intent to lien, because we have not actually seen an invoice, is for $10,000 for the building officials, what it states is preparation for the hearing. Typically, as an attorney, if I were to seek attorney's fees before a court, I would have to submit backup. I'd have to submit my time records. I'd have to show the court what I did and to justify the amount being charged. Here, we don't know what the property manager did or why there was a $10,000 charge to prepare for a hearing. At the Unsafe Structures Board, we mentioned that we've never seen the invoice. An invoice has never been provided. I will also say that, and I've met with Mr. Martinez. I have utmost respect for Mr. Martinez as building manager, but frankly, he was not prepared. And he admitted to the Unsafe Structure Board.
Let's please, because he's not here. So I would prefer that you didn't quote him as to what he.
Okay,
made.
well, it's directly related to the
But he's not-
preparation, and
he's
I will
not
say
here.
it said that he never reviewed any of the plans submitted for this property. So to me, if you're going to spend $10,000 preparing for a hearing, you probably should review the plans. The bottom line is there's a due process right here that's being violated if this lien were to occur because we haven't seen any backup. We've asked for the backup. The backup hasn't been provided. And frankly, a $10,000 fee to prepare for a 30-minute hearing is grossly unreasonable.
I'm going to stop you for a minute because you know what? I want us to process what you've just said. Bear with me.
Sure.
I do have same concerns the gentleman has expressed. Much as I want this to be handled in a timely manner, I cannot disagree with him. I mean, a bill that's fine, but it doesn't say what went into all of that. And that concerns me. Comments from everyone else, please.
No, I have the same concerns. I'd like to see something itemized bill, or
Exactly.
I was hoping that would be presented or clarified once we got here.
And just a point of clarification, did you say that you didn't receive the invoice, the one-page invoice that we have? You said you didn't get that either?
We didn't get the backup.
The backup?
Backup.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
all right.
Essentially, this tells all of us nothing. And I hate to say it, but I've got a concern.
While I do not testify on behalf of the building official, but I would like to speak for the village. These are private contractors that had asked for information from the village. I provided them with a box full of paperwork. As the board is aware, this property has been through several violations. This is for a period of over 20 years. So for 20 years, we've kept files and files and files. And when this building official was getting ready to bring this case to the Unsafe Structure Board, he had to go through paperwork because this property was declared unsafe by 2 other building officials. So he had to piece this puzzle together. It was a big box, like I say, full of files, and it took him quite a bit of time. I can't say the exact time. It took him quite a bit of time to go through this paperwork and to put these cases together. To answer to what the attorney just said, he had reviewed the plans that were originally submitted for the fourplex. The plans he hadn't looked at were the plans that were submitted to the to the Planning and Zoning Review Board, which looked at the plans that were submitted for the duplex. The reason those plans did not get to the building official was because they were rejected. And once those plans are rejected, they don't get to him. The Planning and Zoning Review Board sees those plans first. And once they reject them, they don't get to the building official.
Right.
All right, so can I just clarify something? So basically what you're saying is that the charges for the preparation for the hearing that council said was only 30 minutes and should have been a walk in the park was really the consequence of several boxes of information over the course of 20 years and 2 other unsafe structures and all that stuff to get ready for that 30-minute hearing.
Absolutely. Mr.
And then in
Chairman,
addition to that, if I understand what you said, was that the building official uh, wasn't unprepared, but rather he didn't receive those plans because it would have never gotten to him because it was
Correct.
rejected before it would even cross his desk. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay.
No, I totally get all of that. There is no reason for him to look at plans that were not part of the function. And the time the hearing took is irrelevant to the time the preparation took. But if I'm being asked to pay a $10,000 bill, I want to see something that says research time was this, getting documents from storage was this, break it out to come up with that total.
And also what the hourly rate is. Also what the hourly rate is. There's no hourly rate. There's an hourly rate for an assistant and there's a for a couple $1,000 bucks.
My objection is.
So I don't disagree with you. The backup should occur.
I would absolutely get back with the contractor and
And-
ask for the backup.
If I may add, my name is Attorney Caleb Hosing, and I represent the mortgage servicer. And we did contact the village itself, and they did send us to their contractor. And again, after multiple times through email and in person, we were not provided a breakdown of this $10,000 and added lien that would affect our own lien. So I would, again, highly agree with what I'm hearing from the board and with council that at least this lien should be objected right now, or this hearing should be continued until we have an actual breakdown.
If board members have no further questions, my motion would be that we table this till January and it comes back in the form of a properly detailed ordinance, as Michael shared, hourly rate, exactly what went into coming up with this total. What did each of them have to do? I'm not concerned about the length of the meeting. That's not relevant. It's everything that went into it.
The specifics.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
basically time slips. He needs time slips to say like, I worked 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it was for X. And then I'd work this many hours for Y and the same with the assistant.
In that case, we would ask for a 30-day continuance in order for us to obtain this information
Yes.
from the,
Do we think we can have it by January?
absolutely.
Okay.
Can I just add one thing before you vote? I will just say one thing just for the board's consideration. I understand the desire to continue this, but the chairman of the Unsafe Structures Board was very upset by the charge. I will leave it at that. If you want to proceed getting back up and doing this again, obviously that's your prerogative, but he thought it was a bit heavy-handed.
Again, we weren't there. We didn't hear that. We can only go by direct testimony
You
and
were there as well, if you want to confirm that.
we can go by direct. Even at that, it would be hearsay.
But
We-
it's for the
so-
board's consideration.
Okay,
It's not a court of law.
So-
So
we will table it. I'm sorry. My motion is that we table this until January. Staff comes back with full detail, hourly rates, et cetera, that led to this total.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you was very close.
Kind of need, like,
Oh,
Oh, you need to close?
I can't see half the audience, but
Yeah.
the camera won't reach there.
Was it reach right here?
Nope, you're gone.
Right where it was. Fortunately. Can we move? Yes, yes, right there. Thank you.
whoever it was.
old business, which is section 7 of the agenda. First case is 7.1 for 750 Northeast 116th Street. This is case number CEN-24-662 for Joan Thompson, estate of, and 750 Northeast LLC, in care of their registered agent, Biscayne Urban Homes LLC. In fact, I will move to say 7.1, 7.2, 7.3 be heard together. These cases had several violations, property maintenance violations. However, the property owner has obtained permits to demolish this building, and I would like to enter onto the record permit number PB 23-46. We are asking this board to dismiss these cases because it would not make sense for them to correct these violations when they're in the process of demolition.
Can I get a motion?
Sure. On case number CEN-24-662, CEN-24-663, CEN-24665. I'd like to make a motion to dismiss the.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Next item is 7.4. We just did that one. I apologize. That's what we had in the, it was 826. Just read it. Moving on to 7.5. 850 Northeast 121st Street, case number CEN 23-399 with Yosef Y. Cohen. This property is now in compliance. They were in violation of section 16.13 for exterior paint. The paint permit, I believe, was not obtained before the wall was painted. They have now come into compliance. However, the $500 remain unpaid, which was charged as a violation fee and administrative cost at the previous hearing. I would like to enter onto the record 2 affidavits, an affidavit of compliance for the violation and an affidavit of non-compliance for the non-payment.
Questions from the board? Sir, if you would identify yourself and your relationship to the property.
But before you get into that, did you come in, were you here when everybody got sworn in?
No.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. You have to get sworn in before you can talk.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Rocky Cohen, I have an ownership interest in the property. So that is correct. The paint permit and all that, they came out thinking that it wasn't done. I showed them the records. That's been addressed. I guess the other outstanding issue is the $500 fine. My understanding when I was here in July was that I had until August 19th to bring it into compliance. If I don't, that's when a fine of, I think it was
No,
200.
that's when the daily fine would kick in, but we did assess a violation fine and an administrative fine. The daily fine is avoided if you come into compliance in time, not the violation or admin fine.
Is. That was my understanding. Is there a way for me to confirm that? Because I went online, I was told to go to YouTube. But I couldn't find the video. I found that day's recording, but I couldn't find when I was here.
The order of enforcement that would have gone out. That's it.
When I left the meeting, I was under the impression, and perhaps you're quick to cut me off, so perhaps I am wrong. That's entirely possible. But I'm just asking, is there a way for me to verify that, to make sure? Because I say, when I walked out, I thought that I had to pull a permit by a certain date, fix the violation, and I'm okay. There's no $250 fine running.
Sir, I do remember your seemingly not quite understanding where we were headed that night. So I remember us explaining clearly that there would be the 250 violation fine and the 250 admin fine. Only, and if you came into compliance in time, there would be no daily fine, but there would still be the 500 total of the actual fines. I remember feeling you were a little confused, so we emphasized that that's what it was.
I don't remember it, but, I think what he's asking is there some way, I mean, I guess our archives, are they not working where he can't go back and look at it? Either that or aren't the minutes available for him to look at?
We can provide the minutes, absolutely. About the recording, I believe on that date, we had issues with the internet and that portion might have not been recorded. I'll go back and verify, I'm not sure, but I'll check that for you.
Well, which is why we have the minutes, right? We don't rely upon just the video.
That's correct.
Okay,
Um,
so maybe that'll assuage your concern. You can look at the minutes and,
If that's what happened and, I misunderstood, that's on me. I get it, but.
yeah, but you want to look,
I
I
just
get
want to
it.
put on the record, I didn't understand it. That's why it hasn't been paid.
right?
Remember, the order of enforcement is our legal document documenting what the decision made. When the order of enforcement was received, if there was any sort of confusion, and this would have been back in July.
I think what she's talking about when you got the order of enforcement, did that
So
clear up
I,
anything?
so when I got that order of enforcement, I came to the next agenda. I was told that it's not on the agenda, so the board's not going to listen to me. Just leave my information with the code enforcement officer. And then, reach out to him to try to understand if I was wrong about the 500 or not. And that's what I did. I reached out, there've been a couple of emails. I've been in communication with them about the permit stuff. Not that, but I never received a response about the 500. So I did try to address it right away. It's not like I just ignored, what I received from the city, because I was surprised when I found it. And that's why I came to the next agenda, but I was told I can't be heard on it. So
I don't think I have August minutes with me. Does anybody happen to have August minutes?
We don't have the minutes
I'm
here.
sorry, not August, pardon me, July.
July, yes.
But I think if the village can provide the minutes or,
Absolutely.
yeah.
We'll be happy.
And the village can provide those if he comes in
Mhm.
within a week. So it would be good to say within 2 weeks, there can be some type of satisfaction to the, and we can move on with.
I know we've got the minutes.
motion.
We'll provide him with a copy of the minutes.
okay, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
It-
Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, if there are no other motions, I'd like to need a calendar. On case number CN-23-339, I'd like to make a motion to request that the village move to lien, total of $500 as of, plus filing fees as of December the 18th, given the resident until January the 8th to obtain the minutes and pay the fee in full.
I'll second.
Wait, so he's,
Giving him till January the 8th
to get the minutes, but then so let's say he gets on the 8th, I mean, he's got to write a check then, or are you going to give him a little bit of time to, go back and talk to his wife and tell her that, I got to pay this fine? I think you should give him a little time after that deadline, don't you think?
Well, they've had plenty of time from the time the order of enforcement was there to actually go to the village hall to obtain them, to speak to someone in person. And this gives them 2 weeks to go down there tomorrow, obtain, request it.
Can I respond to that comment? I just want to say, it's not like I didn't do anything. I did what I was instructed to do.
I
It-
understand.
All right,
And you tried to go on YouTube and you tried to find it and you tried to satisfy your own, confusion.
There was a 47-minute video, kind of put it on,
That's
fast forward.
very
times.
fair. That's why we're saying.
Yeah.
Go on in, get the minutes.
I'm just saying, give him like another week to pay it once he gets, once he gets that opportunity. No, but he is here at a meeting saying that he doesn't, have the same understanding about what happened. You just said that you remember him and thought that he was confused.
That's why we.
So I'm just saying, we're giving him 2 weeks to, to go down there to look at the minutes, which now is another avenue that I don't think he knew about when he walked in. Give him another week or 10 days to, to pay it once he does.
You could have gotten the minutes before this.
Okay.
Well, don't mind, I'll amend it to, pull the minutes and review and pay the, either contest or pay the fine, by January the 13th.
I'll second.
Yes.
Mike, I'm sorry, Mike, what did you say?
Yep.
So I have a motion and a second to file the intent to lien for $500 plus any filing fees. The resident will go into Village Hall as soon as possible, pull the minutes and pay, and if he pays by the 18th, there would be no intent to lien.
Correct.
All in favor?
No, not the 18th, the 13th.
13th, I apologize, my writing. By the 13th, then there would obviously be no intent to lien or contest. All in favor?
Before you, the clerk just realized that when we had the issues with the internet, she recorded it on her phone. So if he would like to hear it, we have it.
Well, I mean, this is for the residents, if you want to provide it to him.
No, we need
Yeah.
to hear it. If it's evidence, we all need to hear it.
Okay. Well,
Show you the recording and then we'll
That's
give
fair.
you the minutes as well.
All right, thank you. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
okay.
All right.
Great,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Okay, all right, all in favor? Again, aye. Opposed? So motion passes 4-0.
Next item. 7.6 for 931 Northeast 120th Street, case number CEN-24-289. Property belongs to 931 Northeast 120th AT LLC. We are bringing this case for an intent to lien. The violation was 16.13 exterior permit paint. The wall on the left side of the duplex has a large mark on it, and we issued a violation for that, but there had been compliance until the 16th. They did go into Village Hall and apply for a permit on the 16th. However, the fines run from the comply by date on the order of enforcement, which was not 11/25/24. So the amount I had in my calculation has changed. The amount we're asking to lien is $5,750 instead of $6,250
$5,750.
and $50. It's less 2 days of the 250 daily fine.
So a permit was pulled 2 days ago, but they got how much time to paint it? Once the permit's pulled?
The permit is valid for 6 months. They can paint it anytime during the 6 months.
No.
I'm so sorry.
2
Again,
months.
60 days. Thank you.
Any permits are two.
It's valid for 60 days, so they have to paint within 60 days. However, there is an order of enforcement in place. Fines did run for the amount of days from 11/25, and they have this outstanding lien now, fine now for $5,750, which we are asking for an order to lien.
The second. Questions from the board? Okay. If
Hi.
you would, introduce yourself and your relationship to the property.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer. I'm one of the property owners. My brother and I own the property. Actually, my brother and I, we've been going through some rough situation. My grandmother passed, so we are currently out of the country most of the
Excuse
time.
me, I'm so sorry. You were not sworn in.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, but nothing but the truth?
I do. Okay. Like I was saying, my brother and I, we lived out of the country. We put the property to a property manager. We highly believe that this was being taken care of by the property manager. We realized that all of this was happening 2 weeks ago because they called us and said, you have a fine on your property. And I said, what do you mean we have a fine on our property? Oh, because you didn't do the paint permit and job. I was like, but you're my property manager. I highly believe you were taking care of this. So I flew back to the States, took care of it. Like she mentioned, we already pulled the paint permit. We are actually trying to get the paint done by the end of this week so we can have our inspections done on Monday and have this closed and complied. My question is there any way we can apply for some sort of, I don't know, how do we call it?
Yes.
Reduction
reduction.
after this is done?
Yes, there is a process for fine reduction,
Okay,
and we'll be happy to give you that information.
I'll really appreciate it. Like I said, I thought this was being taken care of by the management company that takes care of collecting the rent and all this.
Of course, the buck stops with you. It goes
Yeah,
back to you.
And I was like, wait a minute, when I got the notice that said that I had a fine and I owe all this money, I was like, wait a minute, give me a chance. What do you mean by this? I thought this was being taken care of by you. We don't pull permits. We just collect rent and take care of maintenance. So I flew back from the Dominican Republic and took care of it immediately.
So when you say you're one of the owners, the property is owned by 931 Northeast 120th at LLC?
Yeah, that's my brother and I company.
Okay.
And I would think we could table this till next month, allow the property owner to come back with a fine reduction request, and we'll rehear it.
Okay, I'll come back.
That would be, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's your motion. We just want to discuss, I'll second it, but, your motion, but, I was thinking, but can't we rule on the lien? If they don't have the property painted,
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
It has to
brought
be
it to
finalized.
and
Excuse me.
finalized,
Thank
give
you.
them 2
Thank you,
months.
thank you.
And then
Correct,
move to have,
correct.
move to file the lien
And
in 2
That's what I
months.
meant to, and that didn't.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Let me rephrase my motion. If we get, the property owner be given 2 months, that would be,
Hold it on the 16th. February the 16th,
so,
which
yeah.
is Sunday.
No, so what did they say, February the 19th?
Well, 16th and.
It's a Sunday.
What is the?
Well, it's just for 60 days would be, February the 16th. And then she should have, the permit will expire by then. So if it hasn't been painted.
Yeah.
By then it's not in compliance, and then we could just move that the village, proceed with filing a lien anytime after the 16th.
So by February 6th, my motion would be rephrased to be by February 16th, the property is to be painted and finalized. Then come back with a fine reduction, and that would be, let's see, have to be for our March meeting.
But may I do to come into compliance and pay it, and file for a reduction. If not, to have
The
to
village
direct the
proceeds
village
with
filing
intent to
the lien,
lien.
because
Correct.
all that should be done by the February the
Sure.
16th. Getting it painted, finalized,
And finalized.
and then asking the village for a fine reduction.
So we would really be tabling this to the March meeting.
We're not
Give it-
tabling.
Self-executing.
Progress report.
Executing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And giving the property owner to February 16th to come into compliance by having the property painted and the permit finalized, then to apply for a fine reduction, which I would figure we would pull forward at March's meeting because we'd be too late in February.
That's fine.
A second.
Wait a minute, no, you missed, I'm sorry, but you're missing the part about directing the village to proceed with the lien.
Intent to lien if the permit is not finalized and the fine reduction is not applied for.
Well, personally, if she applies for a fine reduction or doesn't
It's her
is up to her
If the permit is not finalized,
to proceed with the lien.
to proceed with the lien if the permit's not finalized or the fine paid.
We understand the order.
They got it. They're good. I am so
Because-
sorry for
because-
all the confusion.
Yeah, it would, the property owner, it's incumbent.
Their
upon the
prerogatives
property
to
owner
apply for
ask
reduction.
a Fine reduction.
Okay,
Okay.
so we have a motion. I think we have a second.
I'll still second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Two. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you so much.
Those are little-
We would respectfully ask the board to allow us to call item 8.12. The police chief is here to testify, and we would like to let him go back to his duties. 8.12. This is for the address 11905 Northeast 12th Court. The case number is CEC 24-0064 for Nicole Jean Jack, how I pronounce it, Jackie Jean and Jackie I. Smith Jean Jackie. That's how they pronounce it.
8.12.
We are asking for an order of enforcement on this case with a maximum penalty because this violation was a violation of section 16.31.1, building permits. Several structures were added to the property in the back, and several people living in those structures. They were never inspected. There was electrical cables connected to this and creating a safety hazard. This violation was referred to us by the police department, and we have Chief Still here to testify.
But gee, yeah, I don't think you were sworn in when you came in.
If you would swear in the.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good evening, Board, Chairman, Vice Chairman. Chief Mark Steele with the Biscayne Park Police Department. On December 2nd, 2024, approximately 8:07 PM, the Police Department received a 911 call referencing an individual that was knocking on the doors, possible suspicious person located at this address, 11905 Northeast 12th Court. We had 4 police units respond to the area due to the increase in crime in that area to address the issue. We spoke to the residents at the 911 call, which was identified by her Florida driver's license as Miss Piera Galel Estor. She gave us permission to check the property to see if there's any individuals that were hiding on the property or they were worried about a burglary. When we went to the rear of the property, we started noticing numerous safety issues. When we approached the back property, there was first a tent that was set up with wires, electrical, everything kind of running out of it like a camping tent. We checked the tent for if any individuals from the 911 call, and when we opened, it was filled to the almost the top of the tent with just random items, electrical wires. It was like turned into like a storage area. It was unsafe. We couldn't even check to see if there's any individuals. We continued around the property, and there was 2 giant structures in the back, like efficiencies, that were clearly not up to code. You could tell it looked like a outside board that was kind of up with plastic covering on the top of the facility with a bunch of electrical wires, everything running up. There was a cooking station that was on the outside, another large tent back there filled to the top with other items. We spoke with some of the other people living. It ended up being about 4 additional efficiencies in the back of this place, 2 onto the rear of the building and then 2 out into this other structure that was made. So we were talking to the individuals, there was even infants and small children that were back there. And we were very concerned about the additional issues that were there. The comments that were told from us from the individuals living in the efficiencies, it probably wasn't knocking. We have these large rats because of the food and everything, and they run and they hit the items. And that's what caused that potential noise. We also looked, they showed us an area they were very concerned on with the fence that borders the railroad property from FEC, which we do all the policing for them through our mutual aid. The fence was very dilapidated, and it was apparent that you could see people have normal foot traffic due to the way the grass was. The next day, checking that area also, we noticed on the Miami-Dade side that there was so much foot traffic in that area that all of the vegetation is smashed down. So we have a lot of traffic entering the village through this residence, through the track area. Due to the numerous concerns of both public safety, sanitation issues, the food being cooked outside, the electrical wires, the unsafe structures, immediately contacted code enforcement. We wrote a report with our detective that night. And then I personally went out with the code officer to show him the property from the rear on the railroad tracks, and he could clearly tell from what he was indicating to us, the structures were not of sound foundation for building code.
What was in sound foundation? Those little efficiencies or the actual
The-
structure?
The after structure in the rear of the
Okay.
facility.
Do we have the option to have the building official go in and condemn these? And I don't know the legal procedure to make sure anyone living in there is removed. Sure.
Particular case.
So on December, Luciano Nibs, Code Compliance Officer, Village of Biscayne Park, Code Department. On December 4th, approximately about 11:32 a.m., myself and Officer Alvarez went to the property and tried to meet with the property owner. Once we knocked on the door, we couldn't get anybody to let us get onto the property to do an inspection. At that point, I went with the chief onto the railroad side and did an inspection of the property. I saw that they had a structure to the rear of the residence along with some type of tarp. I couldn't get a clear visual of the exact contents, what's inside the yard. So after that, I did an inspection on the property appraisers to see if they had any permits or permissions to build such structure. I reviewed some of the satellite imagery going back 2 years. I didn't see any structure, and I believe it's of this year that structure appeared completed on the property without any permits.
I would also like to submit to the board that we did review our system, and we did not see any permits for any additional structures on that property.
That was gonna be my question.
I knew.
Any other questions from the board or from staff?
Is anybody else speaking on this subject or just the police chief?
The property owners are here.
Hello.
Ma'am, you were here when we swore everybody in, but you didn't stand up, so I don't think you've been sworn in. So if you're gonna speak, you gotta get sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Jean Jacks. This is the property owner, my father.
Kimberly, can you speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
Your name and your relationship to the property. and if
This
you
is my
could Speak
father.
up.
This is my father, Nicole Jean Jacks.
I'm Kimberly Jean Jacks. He's the property owner. When all of this happened, I was not here, so I cannot say anything that actually happened on that day. But from the name he gave, I'm thinking that is our neighbor. So my father was not here, I was not here. So we did not know that they were on the property. We did not give them permission to go on the property because we live in a duplex. He's the owner of both houses. It's a duplex. So the backyards are connected. But from what he is saying, it sounds like there's like 4, 6 other houses. That is not the case. There is one shed back there, and there is also a tent. The tent, I'm thinking that that is allowed in your own backyard. It's just a regular tent. Since then, and then we got the code violations, we have removed the tent, and back there is clear. The shed was just built as a shed just to keep things in, but we did not know that we need a permit to build a shed.
But ma'am, on top of the fact that, and yes, sheds do need a permit. On top of that, there are people living in these structures. That's an issue. It's an unpermitted structure that there are people living in. And yes, even a shed requires a permit. To check for safety, to check for positioning on property.
So when you say shed, are you talking about, I'm looking at an aerial view. Are you talking about that thing in the backyard right here is a shed?
No, that was already a shed that was already there. There's an additional shed. That shed, I'm thinking already came with the house, according to my father. That was already back there. But there's an additional shed. Good.
Chief Steele? Was this the structure that you were talking about? That structure right there? That was where people were living?
Sir?
Yes, that is the structure. There was individuals living on this side and also here, and there was a tent there and additional tents on that side. Yes, ma'am. That's the structure that we just pointed out. That's where there was individuals living in. They had a side entrance on this side and one entrance on this side. It was from the side entrance when they answered, it was a male, female, and a small infant.
So what do you say about that? You're saying that you just had a shed to put stuff in, but the testimony under oath from the police chief is that there are people living there and people are identified as living there. Are you saying that this was just a shed for stuff? or
No,
that
there's
people were
2
living?
sheds. One shed is like a tool shed. The other one, yes, there's people living in
Okay,
it.
but you didn't mention that when you said what was back there. You didn't mention the shed where people were living.
Sorry.
And what about that shed? Was that shed built with where you have people living, which
No, there's
kind of
no
doesn't even go hand in
permit for
hand with
that
the
shed. No.
And people living, doesn't usually go together. But my question is did the one that the people are living in, was there a permit pulled for that one?
No.
And that was built by you all after you moved in?
Yes.
And then you rented it out to people?
No.
But people are living there?
Yes.
Okay. Is that allowed in Biscayne Park to live in sheds? I don't think so, right? Doreen?
Sorry?
So people living in sheds,
Absolutely not.
That's not-
That's a safety issue. If a fire broke out there, there's no telling what can happen. Electrical, connected to a shed without permits is not allowed.
okay.
That is, a safety hazard.
There are other code violations like the fence. That's an ongoing my dad's already trying to fix that. It's just him himself.
What
So
we're dealing with tonight is these accessory structures. that-
yeah. Well, my dad said he could tear down the shed, that's fine. And then the fence, it's already being repaired.
With the permit?
You need a permit to repair the fence?
Yes.
Any structural work you're doing on the property, you need to come to the village and obtain a permit.
Okay.
I'm not sure what he's saying.
No, he's saying he's fixing it himself.
Right, but you still need to get a
Need a
permit.
Okay.
Even if you fix it yourself, even if it's your own backyard, that's, you don't want to end up here again dealing with that.
It has to be inspected for safety.
Okay. But I don't think it says that on the.
But I really like us to deal
Yeah.
with the non-conforming structures,
Mhm.
because we're starting to mix apples and oranges here. The non-conf, I'm sorry, sir. If you'd speak into the microphone, sir. Sir, if you would speak into,
He was saying that it's just like, well, 3 of the plinches, they just have holes. So you need a permit just to repair the holes?
we're not dealing with the fence right now, hon. We've got to deal with what's in front of us, and that's the accessory structure.
Okay, because I have 3 over here, so. Or 2. One I think is the same.
Yeah, that's the only one on here. You can get with the village with gardens.
To the fence.
like-
Okay.
Okay, any more questions? Any more input from staff? Then I believe we're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion on case CEC -24-0064, the violation has occurred. We down by the 250.
We're asking for maximum penalty. This is a safety issue.
Is this the correct one here?
Right.
Violation has occurred due to life safety issue. Assess the maximum fine of $1,000 and a administrative cost of $250 to have the property brought into compliance by pulling the necessary permits or removing the structures by, I would have to go through, anything would go through P and Z, and that would what?
But to take the accessory structures down, they need a demo permit, even though they weren't permitted in the first place?
I don't believe they'll need a demo permit, but they need to come in and speak with building so we can confirm what kind of permits they need.
Gotcha.
By January, well, 2 hearings would be the 6th and the 21st, right?
Right.
Um,
My concern, though, is while we have to give them time for permitting, there are people in there that really need to not be there.
Correct.
So it's kind of a two-pronged thing that we've got to deal with. The structures can't come down until building tells them, but we need
Well,
the folks to be
okay.
not there.
Yeah, but thank you, Janie. Amend it to include that a violation has occurred, assess the maximum fine of $1,000, administrative costs $250, and to allow the village building inspector onto the property by how long do you need to get the order of enforcement out?
They're usually done by, Vanessa, do you think we'll have them by Friday?
The orders?
Okay, so then they would have it by the end of the following week,
So that'd be December the 27th.
allowing for Christmas, so probably should push it to the 30th, just to be safe.
Allow the building official access to the property by December the 30th. If not, a $250 per day fine thereafter.
But what are we doing about the inhabitants, the issue of the inhabitants?
Well, I don't-
We had this before, if you guys remember, we had a property that had put up multiple trailers.
That was the log cabin.
Correct, correct. And we did make that as part of our order, that it had to be uninhabited.
That's correct.
Right?
Now, but bear with me a second. Would the police have authority, I'm sorry, Chief, would your staff have authority to make sure they are uninhabited? I don't want us to put something in an order that's not doable. Gotcha.
Once we declare this situation unsafe, the building official or the code official can actually request that they do not
Okay,
inhabit.
so we can leave that out for the moment, and, okay.
Absolutely.
So,
Requested from who?
I can request as a code official, me or any code official or building official can request that property is not inhabited because of safety issues. And we can post the property with a safety hazard.
You can't physically remove someone, but you
Absolutely not, we can. We can red tag them.
okay, as part of my motion to direct the village to have the building official inspect the property and post, if warranted.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. So that would be $1,000 fine, an admin fee of $250. A daily fine if it's not, I'm sorry, the building official to inspect, determine safety or otherwise, red tag if necessary. If not done by December 30th, $250 daily.
Right, I had not included the 250 daily,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
that is part of my motion. I think we just got it. Maybe I should restate the motion. Violation occurred, $1,000 fine, administrative cost of $250. Allow the building official access to the property by December the 30th. And direct the village to post as necessary the property. If not, a $250 per day fine thereafter.
Second, again, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
So just so the homeowners understand that by December 30th, they got to let Mr. Nibbs or the other code
Building
guy
inspectors on the
to
property.
go to the property to do what? To inspect it and say, this stuff's got to come down, or can they just go ahead and start? They got to wait for this to be done.
From what you heard, their testimony was, we only have this and we only have that and we only have that. If they're not sure what's safe and unsafe there, they will need an inspector on the property to help them determine where does this property end according to the plans we have on file and what has been added without permits, and those are the issues they will need to resolve. But a building inspector or a code inspector allowed on the property would help determine that.
And they can say this stuff's got to come down, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, so I would get rid of the people and get rid of the stuff, but deal with the the building inspector to coordinate that.
Thank you.
That you're gonna call his car.
Make copies of that with you. That's what I've got to make some copies of. I was fishing to try to find that because
Thank you, Chief.
there are times we can extend beyond the normal 250, and I wanted to be sure. I've got to make more copies of that for everyone.
We will respectfully again ask the board to allow us to call another case that the chief will testify on, and this is 8.4. This is for the property located at 820 North, is this the case we're reading? 820 Northeast 111th Street for case number CEC 24-66066. It's for Reyes Investment 820 LLC in care of the registered agent, Raul Reyes. We are asking for an order of enforcement with maximum penalty. On this case, they were in violation of section 18.4, permitted days and hours of construction. They started demolition of a property before the allowed time. They had a crane. The chief can testify to that because this came through us. It has been an issue. We've received complaints through the commission. This is a high ticket issue for us, and we're asking for maximum penalty.
Good evening, board again. On December 3rd, 2024 at 7:44 in the morning, due to the increased construction starting before the set period of times, the commission has asked us to start patrolling in those areas. So I myself was out patrolling. Once I turned onto 111th Street, I observed a large excavator that was actually in the process of ripping down a structure at that point. I stopped at the location and I stopped the excavator operator. I identified him by his Florida driver's license as Kenny Perez Dorte, date of birth 4/1/1986. I made contact with him and I asked him what he was doing, who was the supervisor on the site. He said he was the supervisor on the site and that he was a contractor for Reyes Construction. I told him that there were set times and they had to stop the demolition. He said that usually he starts at 7 in the morning and he has his own times because he has to get it done. I told him he can't start. He said that day specifically, he had started just before 7:30. And again, we told him that you can't start till 8 o'clock, and we gave him all the information. At that point, the patrol officer arrived and wrote up the report. Due to the ongoing issues with this, immediately reached out to code and referred the case.
Any comments? Yeah.
Except that I'm asking for maximum penalty. Reyes Construction, it has a lot of projects going on. They know better. And this is unfair to our residents that they have to hear an excavator at 7:30 in the morning.
I know it's not relevant to this particular matter, but I could tell you that, and I know because I looked at my phone, at 7:24 this morning, they were working on the property because I was on my way, home from the gym, and I looked at my watch and I said, oh, I guess they started a little early. I thought they started at 7:30, but it's actually 8 o'clock. Yeah, so they had a big truck out there this morning.
They've been an ongoing issue. We issued 8 parking violations to them today also for parking in the median.
I mean, these guys are all over the place. I mean, they obviously should know what the rules are, right?
Also, I'd like to add to that. Every construction site, once they got the permit for the temporary construction fence, I issue them for the parking, the times permitted. So there's no really excuse for this.
And for the record, we take that as a complaint and we will issue a violation.
Okay.
Problem is, unless this is a repeat violation on this property, we're restricted as to the fine.
We will do the history on that property. I'll get the address and we'll check the history of the violations. And if it's a repeat violation for that property, we will be asking for double fines.
I do believe that they are working on 2 side-by-side properties right there, same company.
Yeah. I mean, the one this morning was at 8:20, which is, I think, the one further west than the one that's just
820 is
raised.
the one they ripped down, and then the one right next to it is the second site.
Exactly.
Are we ready for a motion?
On case number CEN-0064, find that violation has occurred. Assess a fine of $250 plus administrative fine fee of $250. Given the village an opportunity to bring it back for increased fines if it was a repeat offender.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, board members and chairman and vice chairman. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Have a good night.
Next item is a new business, and it's item number 7.7 for the property located at 960 Northeast 121st Street. Case number is CEN 24-453. Property owners are S&E Ventures Group, Inc., in care of their registered agent, Sebastian Maurer. We were coming for an intent to lien on this property. However, the property owner came in and paid the fine. This property is now in compliance. We are glad to report.
And my motion would be that we close the case.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
We are moving on to item number 7.8, and I would like to let the board know that the property owner is coming on Zoom. Property address is 11331 Northeast 11th Place, case number CEN-24-275. Property owner 11331 Northeast 11th Place LLC, in care of their registered agent, Marquise Esteban. We are asking for an intent. 250 in fines. A permit was issued for the driveway violation. However, they had allowed the liens to run for a few days, and that in addition with the violation fine and the fee for administrative cost, there's a total of 1,250 owing.
So they got the new driveway in, but they got it in after some fees went forward.
Yes, they have installed the driveway permit and everything, but these fines are still outstanding.
And it was the driveway built in compliance? I mean, did it pass?
That's correct.
And did the property owner try to get like a fine reduction or anything like that?
Zoom.
Any other questions from the board or from staff?
Was he sworn in?
Sir, if you would, identify yourself and your relationship to the property.
He's got to be sworn in, Janie.
Oh.
Yes, hello. My name is Esteban. I am the owner of the
Excuse
property.
me, one,
Give me a moment.
we need you to be sworn in.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, but nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Esteban Marchis. I am the owner of the property. Really, I received the letter in order to moving forward with the driveway. In the middle time, we was moving to Europe. I'm living now in Spain for the last 6 months, and I tried to run the permit by myself, but unfortunately, I had a back and forth with the city because I submit the permit, but I need to modify some papers. And after a couple of try to finish with the process, I decide to hire a contractor, and he ran a new permit in order to move forward and to finish the process. At this time, the driveway is done. The new permit is closed. The old permit is not approved. Well, I received a photo from one of my tenants about the hearing tonight. And well, the idea is to try to explain to you that I did the work. Sorry if I confuse in order to submit 2 different permits, but I try to do it the best in order to move forward with the requirements of the city. The idea right now is to show to the city that the work was done and try to understand if it's possible to apply for a reduction, because really I try to be in order with you.
So I appreciate very much that you've come into compliance as far as permitting. what we're dealing with tonight is your fines still remain outstanding, and they need to be paid.
Would he have been told about the fine reduction process? Was he told about that?
We mailed all the notices to the address on the record.
And that information is in there?
That's correct.
Sir, did you receive that? Like what you're asking for tonight apparently is in the documentation that they sent to you that, is something that you could have applied for.
Okay, well, now I'm living, I'm here in Spain. Now it's 1:15 a.m. Really, I don't have the documentation that you sent me because I'm not in USA for the last 6 months. That is the reason that I didn't receive the letter.
Mr. McKees, we sent all the information to your address at 10101 E Bay Harbor, apartment 602 in Bay Harbor Island, here in Florida. I'm not sure if your mail is being forwarded to Spain, but this is where we can officially send this information.
Okay, that property is not my property anymore. I sold the property in July. And I changed in the Sunbees the information to another property in Biscayne Park that it's a property to a friend of me. And she didn't send me that, she didn't receive nothing, apparently, because she didn't send me nothing.
Well, I don't know if
would
that's the
ask that you
case.
Please reach out to the village to give them your proper mailing address because they can only go by what
Send out
they
future
have
record.
on record.
I need to do the change in the city. It's not enough.
No, the county.
With
Needs
the,
to change also with the village because the county records don't always change quickly.
Hmm.
Any of the other websites don't always change quickly. You need to deal directly with the village so that they have your correct current mailing address.
I really think we can move forward and do this the way it was a similar case earlier tonight.
Mhm.
And if if there are no other questions, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion
Please.
on case number CEN-24-275, that the property is in compliance. There's an outstanding lien of $1,250. And I'd like to request that the village move forward with filing the lien, giving the resident until January the 15th to apply for a fine reduction to be heard at the next hearing. If not, have the village commence with filing the lien plus the applicable filing fees after January the 15th.
A second.
Well, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
You understand that, sir? So you're going to get the chance to do what you just asked us to.
In other
okay,
words, sir,
sorry.
by January 15th, you need to either pay the fine or apply for a fine reduction. If not, then the village will institute the intent to lien.
Okay, I have time before January 15. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good night.
We'll email you the order, Mr. Marquez.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Bye.
The next item is 7.9. This is for the address 11335 Northeast 11th Place, case number CEN 24-276, Equido Gonzalez. We are asking for, we were going to ask for an intent to lien, but I believe Mr. Gonzalez is here to give testimony. He has complied with the driveway. However, I'll leave that to the board to decide regarding this compliance. And we have received an application for a fine reduction for the driveway.
Have received?
We have received a,
Wait, when you said that,
Fine reduction.
when you said that it's up to us to determine if it's in compliance, is that really for us or is that for like the building.
Just pictures to submit. We had brought this case, if you recall, the last time that his driveway was, we determined after review that it wasn't 50% deteriorated.
All right.
So we asked him to replenish. The board asked him to put the border around, and I believe he has done that. We would like to submit those pictures. Are the pictures attached? Onto the record for the board to review. I believe he has more pictures that he wanted to submit. Do you have more pictures? You didn't take any? That's fine.
My phone and it's dead,
Oh.
yeah. But Inspector Nibs
He was, yes,
there.
we've submitted.
Bear with me a
Right,
second.
and
Has the proper inspector been out to make sure that the border is the proper depth?
Depth, I would not confirm that, but we, as I said at the other hearing, we reviewed this case and I determined that it wasn't 50% deteriorated. In that way, he would just replenish the
Mhm.
gravel
Which he's
and
done.
fix the border, and then we would bring him back for this
Okay, I got you.
And,
request for reduction.
if I may.
and mine is that we have an order of enforcement to replace the driveway or bring it into compliance with the village code.
That was the
And-
issue.
Right, and it still hasn't been brought, the pictures do not reflect that it's been brought into compliance with the village code. And I'm going by the order of enforcement, and, you know,
Yep.
until then, I'm not,
Because
It-
all that was done, it appears all that was done was that various stones or whatever we'd like to refer to them were straightened up, but that's not a border.
no. And if we're requiring residents and property owners who live nearby to bring their properties into compliance,
Exactly.
if we have an order of enforcement that was here, that was heard and entered, then either the order of enforcement needs to be vacated or whatever. Or, because right now, to me, this I don't see where it's into standards. And as a resident of the property of this community, I think the village and residents are due more than have a driveway as it is.
I mean, if you look at
May I?
stones, they're not even all lined up. They're just sort of pushed back in place better.
Gravel's
than
going
it
into the
was.
street.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
Because the point is, there's got to be a border on that side.
No,
the borders surrounding it.
may I add? Oh,
So
please.
We'll have your time.
Oh,
promise. Absolutely, just
I-
bear. with-
Kind of discuss it and kind of go back and forth, and then you kind of jump in after, so.
I'm not seeing it as compliance at this point either.
But wouldn't a building official, or like somebody come and inspect that to find out whether it's in compliance? I mean, that's not really our role, right? I mean, it's like if there's a violation, there's a violation. I think the last time you said it was not more than 50%, throw some more rocks in there, straighten things out, do the border. But doesn't something have to be done, like another inspection before it comes here, and then it's either in violation or it's not?
Well, I respect the impartiality of this board. We as a village can make a mistake. And if the board determines that our inspection does not meet what the standards that you're looking for, you are welcome to rule that way. The property owner is here. We can reverse what we are presenting.
And what is your inspection, conclusion?
My inspector did go out there and issued a violation for them to install a new driveway. However, I did review the photographs and I reviewed the case, and it was my opinion that this particular driveway was not 50% deteriorated,
Which means?
which means that they are okay, it's okay for them to replenish the gravel without getting a permit. However, there was an order which he rightfully says we either can vacate the order and ask the board to vacate the order and issue a different order, or the board can refuse to vacate the order and ask him to get a permit and install a new driveway.
Well, I'm looking at the picture, that was one of the first ones, July the 10th.
Correct.
And I understand it may be different colored stone, but I'm seeing that the walkway is a good 4 inches above the driveway. I'm seeing that there's no continuity of a border around any of it. I'm finding that their parking parking concrete stops and their round pillars on one side, and on the other side is other far border is another parking stops. There's no continuity, and part of a driveway, 50% would be a border. Because if you have gravel and it's somewhat deteriorated, and you have a border that is completely out of compliance, to me, that comes into the 50%
I think,
ruling.
with all due respect, I think there was too much focusing on the gravel without remembering that all of those, what are essentially parking stops used as a border, are also part of that, and they clearly are not in compliance and are a tripping hazard, as a matter of fact, if anybody is walking in the front door.
The only other thing I would bring up is because what we heard to enter on the order of enforcement was the pictures and all in the testimony from July 10th. And part of that, the roadway going into the driveway, there are gaps there. So to me, if it was fully gravelled, there wouldn't be a lip between the driveway, the parking space, and the walkway. There wouldn't be gaps between the roadway and the parking space.
But 50% deterioration means there are some issues, but they are not 100%. But again, that was my humble opinion. The board is welcome to make a ruling according to how they see this.
That's just my humble. At this point, I'm not inclined to.
Oh, we got the residents.
Yeah, I'm just saying my opinion right now, but yes.
Sir,
by all
you-
means.
And have you been sworn in, sir?
No, I haven't.
Vanessa, if you would.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, but nothing but the truth?
Folks,
Would sir identify yourself and your relation?
my name is Eguido Gonzalez and I'm the owner of the property. I'm taken aback quite a bit because, as I'll share in an email that I sent to Doreen following the last hearing that I was at, where we discussed this, it was attached to a fine reduction request, and that was dated November 12th, just the week following when we last met. And I had, an attachment to the reason why relief should be considered. And if I may, just share, it's not too lengthy, that really recaps what we spoke about the last time. And quite frankly, what Doreen and I spoke about then and earlier today. But in any event, I'll share if I may. As shared last week at the November 6th board hearing, using pictures, which I attached to the email, supported by Mr. Linnett, the initial violation was due to a visual misunderstanding, due to the fact that I, at greater cost to myself, augmented the existing white gravel with more durable and therefore more.
I apologize, but we have this. We have it in front of us.
Right, and I guess and again, and it's my humble opinion, and I wanted to, if I may, take up the board's time just to share this, because I think it gives us a clear recap of what occurred. May I? Thank you. And therefore more ecologically sound grade granite. On July 17th, 24, I spoke with Vanessa Sherry and communicated that I would not be able to attend the evening's board meeting in person due to being at the hospital with my wife. Vanessa kindly stated that I could participate via Zoom and provided the Zoom meeting information, meeting IDs, it's listed here, as demonstrated via multiple phone screenshots, which I attached as well to the email. Try as I may, I was unable to log into the hearing from the hospital. Upon receiving the notice to appear and tend to lean letter for last week's, that being the November 6th board hearing, I made arrangements to appear in person to avoid additional technical failures. On November 5th, I spoke with Doreen Grant, who kindly communicated that I could cure the violation by adding additional granite. The following morning, November 6th, I did just that by adding gray granite as demonstrated in the pictures that I provided and attached to this email at last hearing that we were at. So in conclusion, with all due respect, the initial error misunderstanding was born by the visual difference in color from the existing white gravel versus a gray granite that I added proactively in an effort to be more ecologically sound. From day one, I have done everything in good faith, from attempting to attend the board meeting on July 17th, seeking guidance, enacting the guidance to attending the last week's, that being November 6th board hearing. Therefore, I respectfully requested the fine be eliminated or reduced. So I'm taken aback by today's sharing by Doreen, when in fact my understanding was that I had followed your direction, including earlier today's. So with all due respect to the board, I've done everything that has been requested and as I just shared.
So you really haven't, because we talked about the border last month.
And
And
And the
it
order of enforcement that was
was
existing.
very
And-
clear,
and-
right?
And earlier today, I addressed it with both Doreen and Mr. Nibbs, who was out at the property following my having taken care of it. So
And I would point out,
I'm very surprised and disappointed.
well, I can fully understand that because I'm a little disappointed also in that we as residents have to have this at a, I believe this is a non-homesteaded property. I would assume that I believe it's a duplex and it's rental property. And to maintain a property with a driveway like that, me, as I live here, I don't think I should we're trying to bring our village up and not to maintain a status quo. If you had a proper border, I would be inclined to agree, but you don't. You still have round tiles. I'm looking at a picture that's dated, round columns on one end, and on the other are parking stops that are not in compliance with the village at all. So that's part of a driveway. I do see added things, but it's spilling out into the roadway, even here.
Mr. Blanton, as you mentioned and perhaps implied, this is a non-homesteaded home, but they are homes that are, as many of you I'm sure have driven by, very nicely manicured and maintained, and certainly have been trying to resolve this, and quite frankly, thought that we had guidance and I had followed the guidance back in November and again now. So, Mr. Blanton, the implication that the fact that I don't live here, although I live in a sister city, that being Miami Springs, very, very aware, and I think, and I hope it's evident that from day one, this whole thing was caused by the fact that I put gray granite as opposed to the white gravel. No, that was the genesis of the issue. And now all of a sudden it's turned into something beyond that I have tried to cure with the guidance from the compliance group.
Border.
And I think,
Add
well,
Something, please.
Please.
So when Mr. Gonzalez came this afternoon to see me, I saw the same pictures that you're looking at. I did send him back and I said, this border will not be accepted by the board. So he did change it. And I would like to submit, not that I'm asking for changing the order, but I would just like for the board to review
Yeah.
the last pictures we took.
All
Those
I
were-
want is the
those
prop,
were-
I want the
la-
property to
Late,
look
late today.
the way that a resident living here would
Correct.
maintain it and
I-
be proud to drive into a driveway. Yeah.
Absolutely appreciate that.
Have this photo.
Oh,
The far side still looks like it's
Same
the
difference.
round columns over
Mhm.
here.
Mr. Nibbs and I met there this
And then
this evening.
I don't mean to overspeak you, but I was
No,
still
please.
just trying to point out that still at the front where you drive in, there the parking lot stops.
Mhm.
This is not a proper border.
No.
And the whole thing that we try to bring into is to our driveways into compliance. And this was cited way back in July. And then we have a notice of, order of enforcement, that was signed August the 20th. And now we're here in December.
Well, I mean, good. So just so I understand, when you were here before, and I remember this now because it was like the way the pictures were and there was white and gray and, whether it was 50% or not. It sounds like that, with the addition of the gravel, that part of it, he is satisfied, right? But
Satisfied, and that was the subjective part from me, because there was white stones and then there were gray stones.
Right.
So
I remember that the resident came in and he explained that and said that he'd take care of that, and you did.
I did.
did.
And now the issue is the border. And then, but when we were here back then, the border was addressed, right? It was addressed as something that he had to do, or just that, or was he just supposed to add gravel? That's where I'm confused right now.
I believe the board was very clear about correcting the border. And when I looked at the pictures this afternoon, I did tell Mr. Gonzalez, I don't believe the board will accept this border. So he went back and he did some more corrections. And with that, I did explain to him, the last say is going to be what the board says, not what I say.
Doreen, and I apologize, I apologize because we have had great meetings of the minds
Absolutely.
till a couple of minutes ago, because on November 6th, when you and I spoke
Mhm.
in person, you shared that this is a matter of adding more gray granite versus gravel, which I so
Agreed.
am disappointed that I did the gray granite, because I would not be here. I would not have been here last meeting. And I did that. I corrected that. And I was told that was it. That was the issue. And now, earlier today, when I saw you,
I mentioned the
and
border
you
because
suggested, you said that by continuing with the parking stops, that would suffice, and that's what I did. So I apologize. I don't mean to,
No,
I
absolutely.
hope it doesn't,
I understand.
endanger our relationship, but
No, no,
that's
no.
what happened.
No, no,
Sir,
I'm here to resolve this.
We do have, the reason the code officers bring these cases to this board is for our input. We also have the responsibility to interpret our codes by the evidence they provide us. And we feel that for what we've seen, which is a picture, I believe, taken today, that border doesn't satisfy code.
Ms. Anderson, if I may, and I understand the process. Unfortunately, I'm caught up in this process, but as part of the process, it's communicating with code compliance and following their guidance.
Absolutely.
I would like to point out just a couple things, and then, because what we're here for is just whether we're going to file a lien.
Correct.
Is that there was a notice of violation that on April the 30th. So we're talking about April, the property was notified, and it says your driveway does not meet the requirements of the above code. Upgrade your driveway to comply with the design standards set forward in section so-and-so. So there was notice provided. There was a notice of violation. That was all cited. Then it comes pictures in July. So we're going from April, May, June, July. Then we get an order of enforcement, and that's signed August the 20th. And then we're up to last month and this month. All I'm here saying is that there was plenty of opportunity to me, sufficient opportunity from July, when the notice of violation was filed, till
Mr. Blanton, if I may.
I understand, but, yeah, sir, I'm just pointing out how I'm looking at it. And as long as there is an order of enforcement here, that's what I am looking at and what was put forth in the order of enforcement. So unless there's something else, I just wanted to make those comments. And
And that's why I wanted to read what I put together, July 7th, the board hearing that I was not able to attend, but requested information to attend via Zoom. I was unable to do so, and I shared with you my attempts, many attempts, so on and so forth. So please do not misunderstand or imply that I have disregarded those communications. It's not the case.
and I don't. I mean,
Thank
I
you.
take you at your
Thank you very
word.
much.
All I was pointing out is from April.
Thank you.
And there was May, June, July. So I don't know what transpired here. So far, there's been no testimony from anything going on between April to July. July, I understand you weren't here, and you weren't able to access. I fully understand that. I'm willing, but I'm only looking at from the date of the notice of violation, in April, till where we are last month and this month. I expressed my concerns last month that I did not think it met the brought the standard up to a proper driveway within the code. And as of today, I see where there's improvement, but I mean, I
Isn't proper, right?
just not a proper driveway.
It's your position, Mr. Gonzalez, that you brought it into compliance by doing what you thought the board had indicated that it wanted, which was to add more gravel,
Yes.
right? And that's what you did. Was there even a discussion back then about whether you need to get a permit to get a gravel, and you said you don't need to get the permit for the gravel? Was that discussed last meeting?
We issued these violations, and I will take responsibility for the mistake in this. We should have made it clear to him, I should have made it clear to him that once I was moving away from those design standards and asking him to follow the 50% deterioration rule, that I should have come back and asked for that order to be vacated because it is under a different ordinance. So I take responsibility for that.
Thank you, Doreen.
What would be unfortunate is to blame him for my mistake. Like I say, I take responsibility for that. However, it's up to the board at the end of the day, how they see it. They are the judge and they can disagree with me.
Thank you.
And I'm amicable to hearing in the future a fine reduction request. But right now, we're just
Still
here,
in
whether it's file a lien or not, there already is an order of enforcement. However, that is addressed or handled is not before us. A fine reduction is not before us. The only thing before us is whether we move forward on a notice to lien.
And sir, for the future, when you put forward a fine reduction, you need to state there is the proper form.
There is a proper form, and I would also like to add that if we are going to stick with the actual section that we violated him with, he may have to remove the driveway that he has now and install in your driveway because the standards are different. I think that when I was reviewing this case, that's what I considered. He will have to remove that entire driveway he has there, get a survey, go through planning and zoning, do plans, and install a new driveway.
Doreen, this is not what we discussed and what I was here for at the last hearing.
I agree.
And I corrected following your guidance.
I agree. That's what the violation was issued at. Like I testified to the board. When I reviewed the case, I looked at the totality of what would bring that case into compliance. And what I just explained, the section we violated you with, you would have to install a brand new driveway. There are new standards in the Village of Biscayne Park for driveways. However, in that section of the code, there's a section that says if your driveway is not 50% deteriorated, you can just replenish it. And that's what I was thinking would be easy compliance for you. However, it's up to the board to say it's okay, or my opinion. No.
I mean, everything that was brought before the board was regarding the whether there was enough gravel or not. I mean, that's what was originally
That's correct.
brought it to the board. So now, I mean, I can understand Mr. Gonzalez saying it's kind of like, a moving target here because now, we look at it and we say, hey, you need a new border. But, I think that he's fixed one problem and there's another problem there that, he should be addressed in anew.
What was brought before the board was that the driveway did not meet the requirements of our code.
Did
We
not
didn't make a judgment
travel
whether it was
specifically.
50% or
Right.
not.
Absolutely.
That is not for us. It was that it didn't bring, that was the notice of violation. Then when that was brought before the board, it was that saying that was the notice of violation, wasn't in compliance.
And the testimony is that,
At that time, here was the pictures in July. There. July, this is what we were, given. And.
Yeah.
That does not look anywhere near 50%. I mean, looked like more than 50% the entire thing.
but we talked about that because there was white and gray rocks.
Border.
But there wasn't, but the discussion that we had at the meeting the last time was about the replenishment. It wasn't about the border.
Yeah, but that was just a cursory discussion because there was already a notice of violation. That was already a notice of violation.
Right, but the testimony that supported that violation was the amount of the gravel that was in there, nothing about the borders, from my understanding.
Correct.
But right, that was the discussion. There was a notice of violation. It was told to either file for a fine reduction or bring it back in. And did we table this till this meeting?
Correct.
It was to come back before us. So.
And we still don't have it. We
and
don't have the
concerns that
border.
Were addressed at the last meeting were, give us a proper border. Give
But
us a
folks,
proper driveway.
Yeah, we don't
with all due
have-
respect, if I
Yes, we
may,
don't.
So.
So for the proper border, the board is asking for depth and size and this, which we as code compliance officers cannot attest to. Now, if we're gonna go into asking for depth and other things, like I say, Mr. Gonzalez is gonna have to go back to P&Z with plans of a brand new driveway. That's the difference.
but Doreen, if I may, and I think I'm part of this process.
Yes.
So please bear with me. As I shared and read, which I attached to you back in November,
Correct.
I have followed direction. And as Ms. Henderson mentioned, that's part of the process, right? We're on the outside. You all are the ones that decide. And then we get to you through you. And I followed what you said, what you asked me to do from day one with adding additional granite because of the distinction in the color. And then more recently, with regards to, forgive me.
Correction,
additional
Mr. Gonzalez.
bumpers would have taken care of the borders.
Day one was not, that was when we were bringing the case to the board. Initially, when he issued the violation, he issued the violation for design standards, which compliance would have been you installing a brand new driveway.
But
If there was
Doreen,
no
I came
50,
to you for
absolutely,
guidance
you
and
did.
interpretation
And
of
that's now
that.
the second part.
I'm sorry, we do have,
That's the
yeah, we
second
do have other cases to hear, and I'd like to go ahead and make a motion. I'd like to make a motion in case number CEN-24-276 to, table this until the January meeting to have the village come back with the resident as, with some type of reconciliation. As it stands right now, yeah. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
May I ask you also want him to redo a proper fine reduction, or at this point, that's off moment until we get,
You can't do a fine reduction if
Until
nothing
this
is in
is settled.
compliance,
Okay.
or there isn't some resolution to
Okay.
what we have right now.
Gotcha.
But I would like to, direct the village, and amend if you don't mind, Michael, to amend the, motion to stop the daily fine at this point in time.
I'll still second.
Folks, it just,
Able-
as an FYI, I submitted the
Mr.
fine
Gonzalez,
reduction
I'll
the
meet
week
with you in the
following.
office. I don't mean to interrupt you and I don't mean to be rude. I apologize. I'll meet with you in the office. We can have a meeting with the manager and go through your case and just review it from start to finish, okay?
We
there
can-
a
we-
fine reduction when we get to that point? does need to contain an offer from you, not just reduce my fine or eliminate it. That has to contain a monetary amount. Because when I'm reading what you submitted, simply says reduce it or eliminate it. No. There is a proper form which staff can furnish you, and when we get to that point, that's what you need to submit.
There would have to be compliance first before we even get to that. So when we
So-
meet in the office, we'll talk about how we can resolve the driveway.
We have a
Agreed.
motion
Again,
and the
that's my
second
reduction
to
form. I
table.
was just following your directions
Yes,
at
yes.
the last meeting.
It's on.
The bottom line is that you're not there yet. It hasn't occurred yet because nothing's resolved, but we've tabled it so you can figure it out. That's good news. And your daily fines that have been going on have stopped as a result of the motion, so we can try to figure this out.
I understand. I'm just, you know, my position right now, but I'm also looking at the fact of what we had at previous rulings, and there is an order of enforcement.
And I appreciate you
So-
listening to my
Okay.
position.
That's
I have a
fine.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Right. Next item is 7.10 for the address 11401 Northeast 8th Court. Case number CEN 24-0708, property appraiser information protected. We are bringing this case for an intent to lien for a large hole in the soffit of the eastern side of the house. There has been no correction or attempt to correct the violation. The lien has run as of today at $6,250, and we are asking for the board to issue an order to lien this property.
If you all remember, we had two violations on this same property last month. And we did give the village the go-ahead to file the intent to lien.
And it's all started with the neighbor that was next door that had an issue with the property. Okay.
So, does anyone have any questions, comments?
The resident here, property owner?
Okay, if nothing, then I'd like to make a motion in case number CEN 24-708. File the violation has occurred. They are not yet in compliance. File the intent to lien for the amount of $6,250, which will continue to grow as long as they're out of compliance, and any applicable filing fees.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Next item is 7.11 for the same address and same property owner. This is for case number CEN 24-709. This case is another property maintenance case for unsightly trash and objects on the front porch. We are asking for an order to lien this property for the amount of $6,250 and a $250 continued daily fine. We are also asking for a second order on this particular case on behalf of the village manager to ask to abate this violation. Ask the village to abate this violation. If the board can give the order, the village can go on this property and clean up the property. The reason being, it has been a health hazard for their neighbors. You saw them testify. They're still experiencing animal things going on to their property because their neighbor does not maintain their property at all.
And even in contact with those neighbors, and it continues?
It continues. We're not only have been in touch with the neighbors, we've been in touch with other residents who have come and complained about this property.
Now, is it our understanding that somebody's living there, or we don't know?
We haven't seen anyone on the property, but the inspector can testify to that.
So I've spoken to the neighbors and actually other residents in proximity to that property. Several times I have been to that property. I go to the front door and knock, hello, anyone? I get no response. I've seen that the front of the yard is well maintained. I've passed by in that area several times. There is a landscaper that comes, but I have not seen anyone. I've asked the neighbors if they have. They said they seen the guy a couple of times, but not recently.
Interesting.
I would like to add, I discussed this case with the village manager, and he actually himself did some research on the property. We have not been able to find this gentleman that lives here.
I do see he signed the certified mail.
Yes, he did.
L. Watson.
He did, but no answer at the door.
And does the trash go out like, to the side of the street? Have you noticed that?
I haven't noticed any trash being removed or taken.
Ready for a motion?
Sure. Case, I'd like to make a motion on case number CEN 24-709. The property is still remains in a violation, and direct the village to file a lien in the amount of $6,250 as of 12/18/2024, plus the applicable filing fees and the fines to continue to run. It also direct the village to request an abatement of the property, to have the village property maintenance staff to go in and abate and clean the property.
I'll
Is that the
second.
right terminology?
Yes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Let me just for a point of clarification, when we do this abatement, I mean, are we going to make or take any measures to make sure that the safety of our public works people that are going over there? Because I mean, just because, we don't know if a guy even lives there or not. He's signing for stuff, but he's not answering the door. He's got holes and trees growing through his house and that kind of thing.
Yes, and that is why we brought this case to get an order. Once we have an order, we can always ask for PD assistance to go on the property.
I would suggest that we do that.
Okay, yes, we will. I'm moving to item 8.6 and 8.7. This is a very unique case for 860 Northeast 120th Street. Case numbers. CEN 24-701 and 702 for Catherine Browell Trust. We received these violations. One is for a driveway and the other one is that does not have an approved surface. It's a duplex, so there's two sides to this particular property. There has been a missing person report filed on this property owner. She had been, from what we understand, gone to the West Coast when we experienced the hurricanes, and they haven't heard from her since. As soon as I received the information from the neighbor who has been trying to get in touch with her, I reached out to the manager and reached out to the police department, and they have put in a call for her search. I am asking the board to continue these two cases for at least 90
Got a
days.
resolution.
For at least 90 days, just to see where this case goes. If we hear from PD or if this lady shows up, then we can come back, bring these cases back to the board for an order.
I would move, if it's all right with everyone, that we table this case until, should we say March or April? March?
Watch.
Okay, so March of next year. I'm sorry. Table cases CEN 24-701 and 24-702 until March of 2025. And then code staff can come back and let us know what the resolution is.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Next item, 7.12, for the property located at 11820 Northeast 12th Court, CEN 24607. This property is now in compliance. They have paid the fine in full.
Motion to close? In CEN 24-607, there was a violation. Property is now in compliance, including paying the fine. I move to close the case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Next item, 8.1, for the address 739 Northeast 111th Street, case number CEN 24-739, Brett Anthony Frey. We're asking the board to issue a continuance on this case. The property owner has experienced a medical hardship. He's an elderly gentleman, and he has been unable to comply with these cases. He had several cases. We filed several liens on this property, but he has experienced a severe medical hardship, and we're asking the board to continue this case for 90 days.
Just a quick question, when it does come back to us, could we have the backup from whatever case, initiated the permit that was expired, just so we'd have more information? We don't need it now, but if we're gonna table it, that's.
I understand. I
but
understand.
just, when we do have a case that's actually the second version,
Mhm.
it helps to have the first version, so.
Correct. Unfortunately, with these cases, we had proactively looked at all the permits that had expired.
Gotcha.
Paint
Oh, okay, I
violations for
understand.
those. So they were not based on a violation per se, they were based on permits that had expired.
So would you say March?
March.
Then I would make a motion in case CEN 24-739 that we continue this case until March due to the owner's medical situation.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
I would like to add to the record that we are working with PD to perform checks on this gentleman just to make sure he's okay. Next item is 8.2 for 740 Northeast 116th Street, CEC 24-0060. The property owner is not present, but the contractor is here. In this particular case, we issued a violation for construction that had started before the permit was issued. After reviewing this case and the contractor visited the village, we found out that the contractor was looking in the system and the permits were approved in the system. Once he saw the approval, he went ahead and installed the windows. However, the building clerk had not processed the permit to read status issued. So when the code inspector did his research, he did not see the permit issued. Just so there was a permit application, he saw the installation and concluded that they installed the windows without first getting the permit. It was a technical error.
So the permit was pulled.
Permit was pulled.
So are you going to make a motion?
I would ask,
Going to request?
ask the board to dismiss this case.
I'll make a motion to dismiss case number, hold on a second.
CEC 24-0060. It's 8.
CEC 24-0060. Make a motion to dismiss it.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank
Happy
you.
holidays to you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item, 8.3 for 741 Northeast 111th Street. It's case number CEN-24-740. Sampanidis Evangelist. We were going to ask for an order of enforcement in this case. However, he has complied. The property owner is here. He got the permit and the house is painted.
And the wall?
The wall is painted.
Everything?
Yes.
Looks good.
Yeah, it does look good. Because that was my one question. I said, what about the wall?
Yeah,
He did a good job.
it's very good.
Thank you very much. I have more pictures for you.
I'm sure your neighbors are happy.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay,
Happy holidays to all of you.
Thank you. You too.
Yes, sir.
you have a motion.
Yeah, motion CEN-24-740, that the property is in compliance and.
I'll second.
Close.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you
sir.
very much. Happy holidays. All the best to you and your family.
Next case is 8.5. It's for the address 830 Northeast 120th Street for case number CEN-24-452. property owners at 830 Northeast 120th Street LLC in care of their registered agent, Christopher P. Kelly, P.A. This property was violated for a driveway surface showing signs of deterioration. It's a property maintenance violation. I would like to report to the board that this property has been sold. It has a new owner, and we are asking on behalf of the owner for a continuance so they have time to adjust to take care of this violation.
And I just have one very quick question, I promise. I wish the code officer was here that wrote this up. He says, repaired or install. Well, is he saying it's more than 50% deteriorated, or? I would love to have had clarification.
Yes, I saw that myself. I guess I'm not speaking
For
on
the
his
future,
behalf, but
because-
trying to make sense of what he
How
issued.
long would you suggest we we allow a continuance?
Would 30 days be okay for you to adjust and,
I mean, if you're doing a repair, 30 days will be okay,
okay?
but you know,
If you would, I'm sorry.
Well, first of all,
Isn't this
we're gonna-
more than,
So-
50%?
So again, I want to make this clear to the board. The section he used to violate the driveway is not the design standards. This is a property maintenance violation, meaning they can throw asphalt in those holes and the driveway will be.
Yeah.
Well, still, I mean, you can throw asphalt in those holes and it's still more than 50%. I understand, but I'm just pointing out that the village can go back to the site
Yeah.
accordingly.
Right.
Because putting asphalt in these holes,
That was just an example.
yeah,
I
no,
didn't say
I
that's
know,
what they
but I'm
used.
just looking at the borders, the barrier, there's nothing there.
So with the 50% rule, it's sort of grandfathering in a property. They don't have to do borders or anything. It's the 50%.
I understand, but if you look over here where the tree is,
Mhm.
asphalt going all up in it.
Right.
That is not even, can't be in compliance with any of the village's standards, even at a grandfathered in. To me, that would be more than 50%. How are you gonna pave over the tree roots?
Tree roots.
Right.
I mean, you've got all of that, and then over the side, there is grandfathering in means you have to have you still need to have a defined driveway. Just putting gravel and throwing it, continuing to throw it into the grass does not make a driveway.
This is really concerning. First of all, the code officer used the wrong ordinance to cite. He used property maintenance rather than the driveway.
And design standards.
An issue.
What the board could do is throw out this case, dismiss the case, and we can reissue using the right section.
Motion is about to be that we dismiss this case and that the property be properly cited.
Absolutely,
I'll
we
second
can
the
do that.
motion.
Favor?
Well, wait. So the motion is so it can be properly cited? I think, are we just dismissing this case and they do whatever their job is? Okay,
Suggest.
That's,
okay.
if they so see fit, they can properly cite it.
Okay.
Right,
So, I'm sorry, I have a,
just to dismiss.
Gail, were you the second?
I second it.
Oh, all in favor? Aye, any opposed?
Comply before I issue.
Thank you, sir.
all right, thank you.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Next item is 8.8. Is Mary here? Probably she's not here. 868 Northeast 119th Street, case number CEN 24-202 for Mary Larson. We were going to ask for an order of enforcement on this case. She had painted her property without first obtaining a permit. However, she communicated back and forth. We had some emails with us. She was on the website trying to apply for the permit, but she had issues with going through with the application. I would ask
Say that.
I would ask the board to give her some lenience and give her some time to be able to apply for the permit. 30-day continuance.
What's already done?
That's a discussion the manager just had with me. If if it's done, the paint color was right, why are we even asking for a permit? Now, where the ordinance is written right now, it doesn't matter if they're using an approved color, they still have to go through the process of filling out that.
Right.
And that's what Mary needed to do, but she had a little bit of issues, and she did communicate with me. I spoke with her, we emailed back and forth, so I'm asking for
So you're getting,
a bit of time, even 2 weeks.
you're getting cooperation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just table it till,
Can we just take it till January?
Sure.
Gail, you want to make that
in
motion?
case number CEN dash 4-202, I'd make a motion to table this to January to have the resident obtain a permit.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Next item is 8.9 for the address 915 Northeast 118th Street. Case number is CEN-24-697. Property owner's name is Kian Zhang Gregory Campbell White. We are asking for an order of enforcement to be issued on this property. They were found to be in violation of section 16.14 for installing a construction fence in the rear of the property without a permit. They have since applied for a permit, and I would like to enter onto the record permit number FE-24-52. I did call him and leave a message. Are you the property owner?
Yes.
I left a message on your phone. I wanted to get an update. There are notes in your permit that you haven't responded to.
What notes?
I don't have the
I
actual
up-
notes here.
Yeah, I was told, the after the fact permit, I went to
Sir,
the
I
website.
would like,
My name's Greg White. I'm the property owner.
and have you been sworn in?
Yes, I was here at 6 o'clock.
I have a question right off the top. What is the status of the permit? Because one of the things that jumps out at me is the fence is incorrectly installed.
That's correct. This permit has not been issued yet. It's being reviewed.
The side has to be in.
It's being reviewed. Yeah, it's in review. You applied for it. This is basic how.
So once it goes to P and Z, they will be able to tell him exactly what's wrong with the way he installed the property and how he should do it.
So he's in the process with P and Z?
He's in the process of the permit review, and it will be, did you go to P and Z for discussion? To the planning?
No, I did the after fact permit. I submitted it and I didn't hear anything back
So
for,
they will
for 90
schedule you
days.
before the planning and design review board. They will review your permit application. And
Wait.
they'll let you know how you can comply.
But he said,
Well, what am I doing here tonight?
I'm sorry?
What am I doing here tonight?
Yeah, but
You
The
have a code
violation.
Violation because this particular fence was installed improperly.
All right, well, that's the first thing. I've never heard that it was installed incorrectly.
We
I-
did
Oh,
send
no,
you
so
notice.
the violation is that it was installed without a permit.
Right. We
Yeah,
asked- you
And I
installed
applied
it-
for an after the fact permit,
But
Right.
but which I was
there still
told
is
to
a
do,
violation
okay,
we need to deal with.
right?
Any other questions?
Wait,
You shouldn't have started the job without first getting permits. That's number
I
one.
just purchased the house a couple months ago, right? The fence in the back was decomposing. It was, yeah, I mean, it was completely dilapidated. It was an eyesore.
I understand that. However, you
So,
needed to
and
apply.
the fence is only about 12 feet. Like the perimeter of my entire backyard
We
is
can see that. We
is
do have
cement.
pictures.
it's mainly a cement wall on both sides.
So you said you did the after the fact 90 days ago?
I did it in October.
September.
Yeah,
We
September.
applied September.
I mean, is that okay? I mean, seems kind of a long time. What, did you didn't hear from anybody?
Well, it depends on what's going on in the building department. Once he submits a permit, we have no control. It goes through different stages of review. They will schedule him before the board. He has to go before the board, and they may ask him for plans and all that and the survey because it's a fence.
Okay,
So that process, we don't have control over.
got it.
So yeah, the notice of violation was September. He did apply for the permit the end of September, but we still have to address what the violation is. Does anyone have any other questions? Sir, if you would. Whatever you'd like to say, ask questions.
I mean, I guess I'm requesting a continuance. Right? If I haven't heard from I got your voice message yesterday. Right? I got this on my house. I was out of town from Thanksgiving until late last week. Do I just need to call you to kind of figure out what's left to, what other information you need?
Yeah, you need to read the comments so you know what the building department is asking you.
Like online or just this? I
Same
don't
way
have
you
any
app-
comments
the
here.
same way you applied for the permit, you log back into the portal, there'll be comments from one of the reviewers.
What we're here to address tonight, though, is the actual violation, the work done, fence installation without the permit.
And if you have any issues, please contact building because we've changed programs. You may not be able to log into the old system, but they may have transferred your permit into the new system. Contact building department, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know I needed a permit to make the improvements or take down the old fence
Do we have
and put the
any
new
other
one up.
If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Well, I mean, I just want to make sure I understand is that he moved in here, dilapidated fence, you put a new one in, you got hit for it, you applied for the after the fact, it's been 90 days. If you'd heard from them, but before now, we wouldn't even be here, right? Because you would have taken,
That's true.
but it would be, okay.
Still be here.
Still, this would still be.
Yeah.
Whether you had a permit in hand, everything was fine, you'd still be here to hear this.
Okay. All right. And then what he's asked for is a motion to continue so he could get that information dealt with?
Yeah, I got you.
Regards to this, there's nothing. to continue.
I see.
It's just if there was a violation or not.
Okay. And,
Number-
well, before that, before you moved here, did you live in, to your new house? Did you live in Biscayne Park before? Okay.
Case number CEN-24-697. That a violation has occurred and assess a fine of $250. Like to waive the $250 administrative fee, waive it, given the resident and property owner is working with the village and is making a good effort to.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes for.
I,
Oh, you're opposed.
I'm opposed. I say no.
Motion passes 3-1. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We'll send you an order in the mail. Next item, 8.1, we did 10, right? Eight point 10, address 11440 Griffin Boulevard. Case number CEN 24-721, property owner Mandarini LLC in care of their registered agent Lumia LLC. We were going to ask for an order of enforcement in this case. However, there is a driveway permit in the system that has been applied for, and I would like to enter onto the record driveway permit number DWS-24-60. They applied on December 10th, 2024, and this driveway permit is in process.
But the no, oh,
No, the question is, they were to comply by when?
October 25th.
October, and they just applied in December.
December the 10th.
So, all right. All right. Anything else?
Any other comments? No. Motion?
Yeah, on case number CEN-24-721, that a violation had occurred, is now in process of being complied, assess a fine of $250 and an administrative fee of $250.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Next item, 8.11, for the address located at 11625 Griffin Boulevard. The case number is CEC 24-0041 for Carol Ragone. We were going to ask for an order of enforcement for unpermitted signs that were installed at the property. It was a real estate sign that was posted at the property. However, they have removed the sign and they're now in compliance.
Well, the property sold.
They did?
Yeah.
Wow.
What was wrong with the sign? Just because it was hanging like that?
It was non-conforming, it was too big.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. I'll wait till we're finished. No, but I would like to make a motion in case number CEC -24-0004 that, to properties in compliance and to close the case.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Last item on the agenda is 8.13. Property located at 1955 Northeast 12th Court, case number CEC 24-0050, belonging to LSP Homes LLC in care of their registered agents, Kenny Perry. We were going to ask for an order of enforcement on this property. They were found to be in violation of section 7.3.1 for a trailer that's always parked at the property facing Northeast 9th Court. I'm happy to report to the board that they are now in compliance.
Well, which is a good thing because if the property is on 12th Court, the trailer can't be facing 9th Court. So we would have had to drop it. Oh, I'm very happy they're in compliance.
I don't understand what you're saying, but
Look at
that's at the back of the property?
12th Court, can't possibly be facing 9th Court.
Oh, it was just miscited?
And it's not just on the cover sheet, which is what I was hoping. It's on the notice of violation.
Make a motion.
Well, I make the motion, since they're in compliance, my motion would be that in case number CEC -24-0050, the property owner, there was a violation, they are now in compliance. We close the case.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All, any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
And those were all the cases we brought before the board tonight. Thank you.
No, thank you. We have a moment for discussion. Oh, minutes.
Vanessa, do me a favor, write yourself a big note to always put the minutes at the end. Because remember, we came to consensus that in order not to have everybody having to discuss the minutes, we would do those at the end. Okay, did everybody have a chance to read the minutes?
Yeah, I thought they were very good.
Me too.
Did you have any?
No change.
I'd like to make a motion if there's no other
Any
comments on it.
comments? No.
That to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Vanessa, you are doing an outstanding job on this. You really are. And that's gotta be a challenge. And I thank you. And he's been getting the orders done like by Friday.
Yes.
So much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want, if we have a moment for discussion when it comes to these driveways and the grandfathered in ones, maybe the code and
We will,
get together with
Yes.
regards to what classifies a.
we will
50%.
definitely sit with the manager and review the actual code because we did have issues with some of the violations we issued with driveways.
Because, once again, not any specific case, but most of the ones we relying on the testimony at the time and the pictures presented.
Mhm.
And to me, gravel is one part of a grandfathered in
Yeah.
property. If it's not,
The
you know, we have
50%
some
rule.
grandfathered in properties that their driveways are just gravel thrown on, and it's been like that since I've lived here for 30 years.
Correct. I agree with you. We'll definitely get some clarity. I will definitely engage the manager. He has more experience in this and it was a new ordinance for us to enforce, so definitely we'll review the ordinance and if there are things,
Very helpful
oh,
because
yeah.
it- it's subject to interpretation, but if we have it from the building folks, we're gonna have a lot clearer an attitude and a perspective. And that, because it can so easily be subjective. We need.
Very subjective.
And the other thing, and I know this is, code isn't written, but we might want to entertain at some point in time.
Mhm.
I don't know if we differentiate homesteaded properties for non-homesteaded
Oh,
property
yes,
for,
yes, that's very important.
or bringing up to date. I don't see why a non-homesteaded property that's rental and moneymaker is grandfathered in without being brought up to code, personally.
Yeah, I'm curious legally. I agree with you in principle, but I'd be curious legally if we could do that.
Legally, yes,
It's worth pursuing. It's worth finding out.
absolutely.
And I'd really like to thank both Manager Childress and Commissioner Amster. Thank you for not only coming tonight, but sitting through it and hanging in there. I very much appreciate, I'm sure we all do, appreciate, you guys being here and seeing firsthand what goes on. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Amsler. She's always putting us on the edge. But thank you for coming with us in the field and coming here to be with us.
And and to Raphael, who isn't here. Great jobs, much appreciated. It can be thankless at times, but know that we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Raphael couldn't be here tonight. He has a bereavement in the family.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good point.
They have to do.
And thank you for putting this together. But I'd like everybody to feel free to come to meetings ahead of time. If you know you're gonna be on vacation at some point, let's know it in advance and we can sometimes switch meetings because if you remember like October, you think with my health, it wouldn't matter. If you remember like October, we had to cancel and double it up in November
We
because.
do it beforehand.
Right, that's what I mean, which is wonderful, because you don't want to take that chance with the time and effort and money that goes into serving these cases. You don't want to take a chance of not having a quorum. So,
I agree.
do I have a
Oh, we got our
motion to dismiss?
producer in here too.
Thank you. Whoa, I'm sorry. Ashlyn, I apologize, your last name? Ashlyn, our alternate, has joined us tonight. Thank you. Pleasure to have you.
Here more often now that I got.
Please.
That helps, doesn't it?
So we're good, yeah.
Yeah, well, nice to meet you, Ash.
To Ashlyn, do I have a motion to dismiss?
Well, are we going,
Oh,
do we
we're
have any
discussing.
questions with regards to January 15th? I'm available.
I'm good.
That's a Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
Everything is on the second week Wednesday. We tried very hard to keep them on the second Wednesday of the month.
I'm good, fine.
I have a deposition starting at 5 o'clock.
On the 15th?
Good night. Thank you both.
Good night.
On the 15th, you're not available?
Pretty
I'm
tough.
not available on the 15th. I have
Oh.
a case on a trial and I gotta take it.
Is the 14th or 16th available? I will be in South Carolina from 17th on.
And I'll be in South Carolina on the 25th on. So let's see, 14 and 16?
Oh,
Let's go to the village website and find out.
16th, I'm okay.
Let me take a look.
14th, I look okay.
Ashlyn, how you look? All right.
I just wanted, I just want the board members to be mindful that when we move away from the Wednesday, there are other boards that have their meetings Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays.
That's why she was
I'm
looking at.
trying to get to the calendar and my phone is not cooperating. To get to January's calendar.
Maybe the village can send us out a couple dates.
Okay, I apologize, you guys. It's just not, I'm not getting the calendar to move to January. So would you folks mind, would you take a look at the 14th and 16th?
14th and 16th are the suggested?
Yes.
Mission meeting is the 14th?
Sometimes they have them on Monday, but we'll take the dates and then we'll,
So
Say, why wouldn't they do it on?
wouldn't the commission meeting be the 7th?
Usually the first Tuesday, right?
Except if it's like bumping up a holiday, but that isn't.
This is on a Wednesday. There's New Year's.
What?
for now.
14th is good?
Available Tuesday.
Is everybody okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Ashley? Oh, Rodolfo? Okay,
All right.
and January will be the 14th.
Motion,
Thank you, Dale, for.
motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
So on January 14th, you'll discuss the other dates?
We can go. one
Judy will
at a-
be here.